Top of the morning, lads and ladies. Support for the Off the Irish podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and you'll no longer need the look of the Irish with the ladies. Make every day feel like St. Patrick's Day for your balls with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code IrishPod at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped and use code IrishPod. Use the right tools for the job and trim your pant potatoes.
And welcome back. How's everyone getting on?
How are we doing? Today we're joined by Christine Barger. How about you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Christine Barger. I have two cats. They're adorable. And I'm an actress. I'm a ventriloquist. I do TikTok, YouTube, all the social platforms. Instagram is the one nobody can find me on because my name is different there. Christine Barger Official, not Christine Barger. They're like, is this you?
You'd think so, yeah. Yeah, well, one thing that kind of put me off was, or not put me off, kind of shocked me was how big your TikTok following was. I'm not a TikTok kind of guy. And then like Thomas told you to tell me how big it was and my mind was kind of blown. I mean, like, congrats on that, like, seriously.
Thank you. I've been doing TikTok since it was Musical.ly. I've been there for a while.
So, to let everyone know, how many followers do you have?
Oh, you cut out for a second. I was like, oh, is this a question? A little over 800,000.
That's cool.
Whoa. That's crazy. That is honestly crazy. Well, you know, TikTok's doing something right there, and you're doing something right there too. That's impressive stuff.
Well, thank you.
And like, has it helped you in your career? Like, as diverse as it is?
Well, it helps me in my career in the sense that it helps me make money. Whether or not it helps me get acting roles, that hasn't really been proven yet. But yeah, I mean, it's nice because I get brand deals and people reach out and say, hey, we want you to come over to our platform, try it out, we'll pay you, things like that. And beta test things, different stuff where they're like, we see that you're really all over the platforms, like you, because I do Likey, I do Byte, I beta tested Byte, I do, like, there's so many platforms. Zyn, I'm on Zyn right now. If you haven't on that, that's a cool platform that's much more adult content, I think, than kids, but they're all slightly different, and then they all want to get content creators that are familiar with the platforms. And I think actually one of the draws for them to me is that I'm not a 17-year-old kid. So they know that they can have a conversation with me and I can explain to them, yeah, this is what's working, this is what's not working, we need to tweak this, or that if I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to follow through on my contract and be responsible because, you know, I'm an adult. Yeah. Which isn't always a benefit in the social media world. The younger you are, same thing in acting, really. The younger you are and the prettier you are, the better chance you have of being successful. Yeah. But occasionally there's a perk to being an adult where people trust you a little bit more to, like, you know, give you brand deals and reach out and know that they're dealing with someone who's going to follow through. So that's kind of nice. But for acting, no, I mean, there's a few casting directors during the pandemic that have gotten on to TikTok, and I've immediately found them and been like, hey, you're on TikTok. So good to see you here. Welcome to the family. You know, trying to make sure that I make those connections on there in a place where they're like, oh, you're established here.
Established is definitely a word for it.
It's not like people are going on to TikTok going, hey, let's cast you in a movie because you're a TikToker, and, you know.
Well, that's debatable. Like, we know a guy and he's lost out because he didn't have enough Twitter followers for a role.
Yes. So back in the day, there was a time, maybe 2 years ago, when Twitter and Instagram were a big deal. And if you didn't have enough followers, and it was between you and somebody else, they would go with the person with the bigger social. I don't know if it's the same now or not. I think if they're wanting someone with a social following, they're looking at the really huge creators like the Paul brothers or somebody, and they're trying to get them. Ugh. They're not necessarily, I mean, Logan's worked and Jake has worked. Jake started in acting though. because he was on Disney or something before. But like Logan's done a movie because of his social and his YouTube. And I'm not saying it was a good thing. It was a hard movie to get through, but the fact is, like, if you're gonna go for social, you're not gonna go, well, you know, I'm gonna go look for somebody who has less than 1 million on TikTok and give them a movie.
Yeah,
so,
well, that's fair.
So it's kind of like, if I was a bigger creator, maybe that would be the case. But I'm kind of like that. Unfortunately, you know, you're around 1 million, you're still only like mid-level creator.
Which is terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying.
Like, think about how many people that is in, like 800,000 people in an auditorium would be just so intimidating.
Do you know how long it would take to meet all of your followers? Like, whoa. You know?
I do think it's very fun though when I do get to meet them, because I love to volunteer in Los Angeles. There's this program where they bring in professional actors to perform for kids shows, and these 5th graders, they spend an entire semester writing a play, and then they cast us and we do the play in front of their school. And so I love doing this like volunteer program, and a lot of the kids recognize me back in the day right after iCarly. And then the kids who didn't really watch iCarly for a while because it kind of went off the air or whatever, they may or may not have recognized me. But as soon as TikTok blew up, all of a sudden I would be there next to huge people that had been working for years in TV and film that I was going, I can't believe I'm on stage with you right now. And these kids were coming up to me, crying and hugging me, saying, I love your TikTok. And I was like, cool, thank you.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it was strange to see that they were more excited about a TikToker than they were somebody from like their favorite TV show.
You know how weird
and that was
that's
yeah, well, and I've spent my entire life trying to be on TV and film, and then like to hear that the thing that people are excited about is like me playing on my phone is so strange.
And you know, you do a lot of things. So if
I do a lot of things.
If I ask you to like define what your career is, or like what you are, like what are you going for career wise? Like, would you consider yourself to be
I'm an entertainer?
Nice,
an overall one. I like that.
I'm an entertainer. But my passion is making people laugh. I got into ventriloquism because my brother was sick in the hospital, and it was like my coping mechanism. And after he passed away, I started performing for kids who lost loved ones at the Shriners Grief camps. And I realized I can make people laugh, make them smile. And I was like, I want to do this. I love making people forget their problems for just a few minutes, if that's all it is. But I love that. And so I started doing ventriloquism. And then I got a little bit of frustration, I guess, in college, because I would have people come up to me, they'd see me on TV, and they were like, oh, you're the puppet girl. And I was like, well, yeah, but like, I have a name. And they would like know the puppets and they wouldn't know me. And I was like, oh. And it was kind of that like playing second fiddle to the puppets. Yeah. And my pride got in the way. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe I just be an actor instead. And so when my pride got in the way, then I really focused on acting. And it wasn't until I realized like, no, I don't need people to know who I am. I just want to help people laugh and make them happy, that I was like, I can be all of these things. And so I still love acting though. It's so much fun to just be somebody else and have that escapism for you and the other people who were watching. Where with ventriloquism, I'm really still me living my life with my problems and my like,
how do you do it? Like, you make your mouth seem so like still, but you're.
No, it's.
I just do it. I mean, I've done workshops on it. I've taught classes on it. I have a couple YouTube videos on how to do it, but really for me, I didn't learn, I just did it. Because again, I was doing it when I was a kid, so I didn't even know ventriloquism was a thing. I started talking to my teddy bear and making him talk back because this other kid at the Ronald McDonald House where we were living at the time had a gizmo doll and would hold it up and it would whisper in their ear. And then they would say, well, he doesn't want to talk to you, he doesn't like you. And I was like, well, that's not nice. So I'm like 5, you know, and I've got my teddy bear and I'm like, my teddy bear is going to talk to everybody and you're going to hear it, but he's not going to talk to you. And so I made my teddy bear talk to everybody out loud, but not that one person, to make them feel how I felt, to show them like that that's not okay to do. That made me feel bad. So, you know, made them feel bad too. I didn't mean to, like, you know, as an adult, I'm like, that probably wasn't the nicest thing to do, but
But
No,
as a
As
you
a
kid,
see,
you
kid,
were,
that was,
five.
but as a
like,
kid, you were like, yo, fuck you, kid.
I know, I was like, hey, your tall isn't really talking. You're lying, and I'm gonna prove it. So my teddy bear is gonna really talk. When he did, but he wasn't either. Like I was still talking for him, but everybody was just like, wow, that's incredible. How did you learn to do that? I'm like, I don't know. I just did it. I didn't know it was like a thing. And then everybody's like, what ventriloquist inspired you? And I'm like, well, a lot have inspired me as I got older, but I'd never seen a ventriloquist when I started. I didn't know that was like a thing.
would you be a
Like
fan
I
of
found
Jeff
out
Dunham?
later. I like Jeff. He's a nice guy.
I think people kind of give him a bad rap, but
I
I
don't
really
love
like him.
his humor. I find some of his humor a little offensive. But as a person, he's always been supportive of me, and I really like him as a person. He is very kind to me.
Yeah.
He's gone out of his way twice that I've talked to him, where he's really gone out of his way to encourage me. So he's a good guy.
That's cool.
But yeah,
Yeah.
some of his humor though isn't my kind of humor.
I don't know if some of the things are gonna last. Like, how long can he do jalapeno or the
I mean,
terrorist
he's been doing
one?
jalapeno forever.
Yeah, but like eventually, like I see people giving out to him enough that he just kind of wraps that one up.
Mm.
You know?
I mean, if you really think about all of his characters and what their base is, they're all kind of similar in the structure of like where they're coming from. And you won't find that in my characters.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Like yours are just kind of everywhere.
Well, like if you think about like the jalapeno is kind of a stereotype.
Yes.
And
Kind of a stereotype.
Ahmed is kind of a stereotype.
You're putting the word kind
They're,
of
like,
very lightly on these sentences, but go on.
I respect it.
The basis of his characters come from a different place than say like my characters or Sherry Lewis, who did Lamb Chop's characters. You know, like I think building a character around an accent or a stereotype is a way to do things, and it's been very successful for him. It's just not the way I choose to make my characters.
Yeah. And how do you make a character? You just kind of find yourself talking to a doll one day and then say, I'll go with it. Or how
I
does it go?
usually look for a puppet that I think is cool, like I like it, and then I'll play with it and give it a voice, and I'll change the voice, and I'll play it till I get it like where I think that that's good, and then I'll kind of give it a background. And I mean, when I started, I was a kid, so a lot of my characters I've had for almost my whole life now. Like they've just been here forever. So they've grown with me over the years. Like Darlene's voice has changed as my voice has changed and matured. She's gotten older as I've gotten older. She's the dummy, the wooden dummy. Stunkles has pretty much been the same since I got him. I just saw him and was just like, this is the voice. and I just, you know, and he's the kid and he's curious and he wants to be a cat because people like cats. He doesn't want to be a skunk. People don't like skunks. And he wants to be liked. And you know, a lot of that is there's a part of me in there that it's not a part of you that's okay to kind of share with the world. Like I feel like we all have a little bit of that wanting to be liked.
A little
and
bit?
Wanting
I feel like
and
most
curious.
people want to be liked.
But you know, like there's people who say like, I don't care if people like me, I'm just doing me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, is that true?
Are they happy
like,
people normally?
No. They're not happy. They're cool. Shut up, dude. Those are the cool people of the
Are
world.
those
They
happy,
don't.
fulfilled
They
people?
don't care. They don't need to be happy. They're cool. Okay?
Yeah, they're cool people. Yeah.
They have awesome shit going on in their lives that they don't care.
I guess.
I think it's cool to be liked, and you should want to feel liked. I don't think social media helps with that. That the is it serotonin you get from getting a like on Instagram?
Yeah.
I think the amount of the desire to be liked because of social media may not be as healthy.
No.
Because when I started doing ventriloquism, social media hadn't become a thing yet. Like, I mean, I've been doing this since the 80s.
Oh, man.
So it's a long road.
I think
to be.
You were fortunate you could start without the internet, but I think you couldn't do that today.
No.
Like
Well,
even to try to get like your demo reel out there, you know, like there's no way you could do it without the internet.
Right. Like when I moved to LA, we were still using a courier system. I don't know if you know what a courier system is. But
I'm
it's
sorry
like
to tell you that
FedEx.
we don't.
Okay, so like FedEx or UPS, you know how they deliver stuff, like
Yes.
physical things? So there's a thing that used to be, I don't know if they still exist, called couriers. They were people that would stop by like an agent's office and pick up an envelope full of physical headshots, like paper printed headshots and resumes with notes. We'd put Post-it notes of what role each person was being submitted for. And we would have the courier pick them up at like 2:00 and take them over to the casting office and drop it off. And then the casting directors would open the package, look through all the different headshots, put them on their desk, decide who they were bringing in, and then call the office and say, hey, these are the people we want to bring them in at these times. Tell them to come, tomorrow. And we'll fax over. And that was like email, but physically done through a phone line. We'll fax over the sides. And that was still kind of happening. It was mostly, I think we'd gone over mostly email by that point, but, we still had a fax machine at the office, like at the first agency that I was with. And I had to drop off stacks of headshots and resumes because we hadn't gone digital yet. Like it was such a different time. Things were so much slower. And now, like, you get a breakdown through the internet on like a website. You put in what actors you want to submit, or if you're an actor, you can submit yourself on certain things. But the agency, they'll click like this person, this person, this person. They'll send it over digitally within minutes of the breakdown coming out, or the audition, casting thing coming out. Yeah. And then the casting directors watch and look through everything that they want to see right away, and they'll respond digitally to the agency saying we want to have them put themselves on tape and send it back to us by like tonight or tomorrow. And then the agency sends it to us and we have to put ourselves on tape at home because of the pandemic. Yeah. And then submit it through the breakdown. And this all can happen within, like 20 minutes from the time they start to the time our audition is there. It could literally be like 20, 30 minutes and they've already seen us. And when I first started, it would be like 3 days. So it's so like things are so much faster, and that desire to be liked in the social media and like all the different platforms. Like I was on YouTube when YouTube started. It was crazy.
Yeah, we're a new edition. You're the OG.
Well, I didn't grow back then because I was still working on movies and TV, and I thought YouTube was kind of silly. Because, it was like Miranda and Shane was obnoxious back then. Shane Dawson.
Oh, yes, yeah. My girlfriend's a big fan of his. I used to watch a lot of his stuff. Like all of his like conspiracy stuff. I love this.
See, that stuff is good and quality.
Yeah.
But before that, he was just kind of a jerk, making really shocking comedy videos that he thought were funny.
What do you think of him recently?
I haven't watched anything since like the Jake Paul video.
Oh, they were
not
so
that
bad.
I don't like it.
I was about to say, yeah.
The Jake Paul documentary was kind of dumb.
Pretty useless.
Because Jake's an ass, and that'll just never change.
In all fairness, Jake did a boxing match pretty recently, and he won.
Still
he won hard.
You seen it? Yeah, he won it pretty well.
I saw it. I didn't watch it, but I watched the next day when everybody was doing the memes, and I was like, what happened? And then I watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that poor guy.
That poor guy was down. He was on the ground longer than he was on his feet.
He looked hurt.
Literally, yeah.
I was like,
knocked out very fast.
He's okay.
And then
I would never box anybody.
Yeah, you're probably better off.
There's no amount of clout or money that's going to get me in the ring, especially with somebody like Jake Paul.
I don't know. You could throw me in the ring with Conor McGregor if you gave me about 10 million or something. Sure.
Yeah, I can't get hit in the head. I just can't.
No, that's fair.
I wouldn't mind taking a slap for a big bag of money now, to be honest with you.
That'd be all right.
Because I wouldn't even be there that long. And I could talk to Conor, and me and him could sort something out where it's like the fastest knockout ever. Make him look good. Give me, a bit more dosh there. Everyone's happy.
Be like, just pull back and go like this. I'll be out. Like
I'll run into his fist.
I'll just be down.
So what's going to happen with Thomas is McGregor's going to wind it up, and you're going to start sprinting towards him. He's going to start sprinting towards you, and then you make contact.
As I said, I'll do anything for a big bag of money.
Funny. I've never been okay with like getting hit or hitting people.
Yeah.
And I had to hit somebody in a movie. I had to slap Andy Milonakis. Do you know Andy Milonakis?
I've heard of that name. Remind me.
So he was a YouTuber, like he's an OG YouTuber too, but he used to have a podcast, I think, when into like his mom's basement. He looks really young, but he keeps getting older and not aging. And now he like runs around on the street and talks to people.
He's 44.
Yeah, but he looks like he's 12.
What the fuck? I'm looking at it now. He looks so young. He looks like
Yeah, you're looking at a
woke
current
14-year-old.
Yeah, he's got something. He doesn't age. He's a creator, and he was very popular for a while. I guess he's not as popular now, but he was in a movie with me. Well, I was in a movie with him. Well, we were in a movie with like Joey Lawrence, I guess is what happened. But
Cool.
anyway, I had to hit him, and I thought I was gonna fake it. I was like, teach me how to like fake hit him, and then the stunt guy was like, just hit him, and I was like, I don't think I can. I can't just hit somebody. And then we were in the makeup trailer, and I was trying to get my makeup done by the makeup artist, and he was in there jumping up and down and rapping and acting like an idiot. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit him. I'm gonna hit him now.
Yeah.
Because like they were like trying to do my eye makeup, and he's just like, I'm like, you can't bounce the trailer. What is wrong with you? Grow up. You're older than me. I don't know if he's older, but he is older than me, I think.
Yes.
But I was like, you're acting like a child.
First of all, you should not listen to stunt directors when they tell you to do stuff. We've talked to a couple of stunt guys,
No.
and the guy we've talked to gets set on fire for fun. Okay, those guys, these guys are out of their minds.
You know what terrifies me about stunts? No one gives a fuck about them.
Yeah.
Right.
We interviewed a guy who'd been in like all these A-list blockbuster movies. We were the first people to interview him ever, and he had so many followers on TikTok as well. But we didn't know about that though, just before the interview. But
you never check TikTok before you bring people on. You just get them on. You're like, do you have TikTok? How many people do you have?
We'll
oh my
honest,
gosh.
TikTok, it's cool and all. I mean, not for us. I'm on TikTok. I watch a lot of TikTokers. I know. I saw your trend loads during the pandemic. The the one with you and the scope. It was funny.
The talent one.
Yeah. But regularly, I don't check people's TikTok following. You know, it's like.
Yeah, it's like, you just want to keep swiping down to find gold. You don't want to be clicking into profiles and actually following. No. I don't know what to say.
Your stunt guy. You never finished telling me about your stunt man.
Yeah, he never got interviewed before. It's just a shock. He'd been in so much. He's in Planet of the Apes. He was in Godzilla. He was in Shazam, Deadpool 2. So many things. Like, I'm not doing him justice with the amount of things he's been in, but we were the first to interview him. And that kind of scares me. You know, like,
stunt people are incredible.
Always.
I got tricked into doing a stunt. Like, not slapping Andy, that was just kind of like whatever, but I got tricked into doing like a stunt. And by tricked, I mean there was a miscommunication. No one was intentionally tricking me, but no one told me I was doing the stunt until I was doing the stunt. So I was on Ghost Whisperer, and I had to get buried alive.
I know that show.
Yeah, well, nobody told me I was getting buried alive. If you watched it regularly, the episode is the one about the student filmmaker that made all the different movies of the fears, like Carrie and stuff, like people's favorite film, and he put them in it, and then he died, and he kept editing it after the fact.
Yeah.
I was the maybe Carrie. I don't remember. I had to reach up out of the ground from my grave and grab somebody's arm, and then come up and screaming, and then Jay Moore was like, "That person's really buried alive." And then Melinda's like, yeah, actors will do pretty much anything. And that was kind of the reality of the situation, because I got cast off like the one line, and I thought I just had to do the one line. And you don't necessarily get the script or whatever. You just know what you're going in for those sides. And they only fit me for one outfit. So I thought I was only in one scene. And then I did my scene, and they were like, okay, go change to your second outfit. I was like, what? And they had pulled a second outfit for me, so that I could just be dirty in. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? And they're like, you're not claustrophobic, are you? And I was. And I was like, oh. I mean, no, I'm not at all. Great. And like, I felt like I couldn't say anything. So I just got buried alive. And like, it was terrifying. And they like buried me alive, and they decided to reset camera while I was underground, but you're just like holding your breath. There's no trick to it. You just hold your breath until they say action, and then you like come up out of the ground. And so I was just underground, like trying not to die. And I kept passing, like everything would start spinning, like in my head would feel like it was spinning. And I would come up, and they would yell at me and be like, stay buried. I'm like, I can't. I'm running out of air.
Never mind just doing that. Imagine being good at it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I have friends that do stuff. I'm just like, you guys are incredible.
No, they're crazy. They're crazy.
And the fight choreography and stuff, like, that's harder than dance.
Yeah.
Like, it's
You a
like
dancer?
dancing, but like harder. I'm not a
Yeah.
dancer. Dancing is hard.
Yeah.
Like, I can kind of, whoa. That's the whoa, right? I don't remember.
Thank you everyone for watching. We're done. No. Yeah. Fair enough.
That took me, but to be fair, that thing took me like weeks to figure out how to do. I was like, I don't understand it. Why is that a dance? That's not a dance.
Yeah.
That's like a weird thing. They're moving their arms, but how are they doing that? Why are they doing that?
If it gets the D'Amelios 10 million views on TikTok, then it's a dance.
I know.
What are they like? I don't even know what to say about them. A bit mental. People will put a lot of pressure on them for no reason.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I don't necessarily think that the dances that they do that blow up are dances. They can dance. I've seen them do it, but the stuff that they do for TikTok that everybody copies, I'm like, that's not really a dance. That's like a couple of hand gestures.
No, you're right. You're completely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
It's a weird way to look at it because they're so young, like Dixie and Charlie, to handle. You know, Charlie hit 100 million followers. No 16-year-old should ever have 100 million people watching them constantly. It's scary, you know.
It's the world we live in now.
YouTubers that have 100 million.
It's the two. It's an entire country and then like one Swedish guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's PewDiePie, right?
Yeah.
Isn't PewDiePie the only one? And then that
T-Series.
T-Series bet him, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then I think there's another one coming up now as well, like Cocomelon, which does like kids-friendly content.
That's cool. But that's a little different. They're making content specifically for YouTube, and they're putting thought into it, and they're going on and they're specifically doing it. Where TikTok is almost like you just have your phone with you, and you could just at any time throw something up, or people could be filming you and putting it up. You know, it's a little bit. It feels a little bit more personal.
Well, it's a lot more high effort.
Yeah.
No offense, TikTok is like, but you know,
YouTube's a lot more effort. Yeah, there's production
value. To put a podcast
value
onto YouTube, you know, for us, which is pretty easy to do for us. There's a video. It takes about an hour. The processing afterwards. Then he's to send it onto the drive onto me, so I can get something powerful enough to edit it. Then I edit it for 10 minutes and process it for an hour. That takes a while, and then I have to upload it. And then it processes again. Oh my god! You know?
It gives you time to think, though, like what you're doing and putting up.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. Where TikTok, people will film and post before they've really thought about what they just posted.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I'm just taking a wee peek at your YouTube. You were at TanaCon.
Comic-Con?
TanaCon.
Oh, TanaCon. Yes, I was in TanaCon.
That was a disaster. God. Tell me a story, please.
I took my sock puppet. So I wanted to go as this character I used to do on another channel that I kind of abandoned because it wasn't going anywhere. But this girl, Ava Vince, was this character I was playing. And she had a sock puppet named Sock, and she had two cats named Cat. And she did toy unboxings, and they were horrible. And it was meant to be in the same vein of like Miranda Sings, except that people didn't get that I was intentionally being like bad and like obnoxious. They thought I was just another YouTuber that was like really trying, and they just didn't like find it funny at all. So it failed. But anyway, I went as her to TanaCon. And I took sock. I had the sock puppet on in line, and I was like talking to people like the sock was talking, and like it was really a thing. But anyway, that's why I wanted to go. And it was right down the street from VidCon, so I just walked down there. And we were out in line forever. My friend Wayne was there too with his daughter because she was a huge fan of one of the people speaking on the panels. And I had some friends that were going to be there and that were like speaking and stuff. And then there was a company that wanted to talk to me that was only going to be at TanaCon. So I had to go in to talk to them anyway to like set everything up and do this interview.
Yeah.
So it was important for me to get in. Like ultimately because I had a like kind of a brand deal situation that I needed to talk to them in face-to-face inside.
Yeah, so you had your own reasons to go.
So there were reasons, but like I didn't want to stand outside in the sun. And so it was more for me of like, I knew it was going to be a catastrophe. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a catastrophe. And so we just kind of played it up and had fun with it. And one of the videos I did kind of went viral for like that day. And that was my one video where I'm really not appropriate on my channel. And I was just like, F TanaCon. And all these people were watching it.
You got a lot of hate in this video.
Oh yeah, I could hear my voice as I was walking back to VidCon. There were just all these, because they canceled TanaCon. I got in, I snuck in on the side stairs with a bunch of young kids who were like, they like charged the security guard or whatever, got in. So I just followed them. Like I was trying to get into my hotel because, you know, I was older. So I'm like, I just want to go into my room. I cannot get into you have to let me in. Like I was Karening my way in. And so I'm like, I'm be a Karen, pretend that I'm staying here and I'll get in and then I'll go talk to these people. So I made my way through. People were like, well, this old woman's by herself. She's clearly not here for TanaCon, but I was. And then I go over, I'm like, I'm with that booth. I have to go there. So I went over, I talked to the guys I needed to talk to, and then I left. And as I was leaving, they canceled the whole thing. Everybody shut down. And I'm walking back to VidCon and I keep hearing my voice going like, you know, yelling about TanaCon and how awful it was. And these people were watching my video sitting along the sidewalk. As I was walking by, I could like just keep seeing them. And then every once in a while, someone would look up and see me and they were like, that's her. And they were like angry because they were all huge Tana fans. And I wasn't like anti-Tana. I just wasn't a big fan of her. Like I was just like, she's cool, whatever.
Are you a fan of her still at the moment?
I don't really watch her stuff. I met her at one of the parties that year. And she was so funny. I ran into her, she ran into me. We were trying to get away from, it was the TikTok party, I think. We were trying to get away from the bar and she was coming toward the bar and like we crashed. You know how you physically like run into someone.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then I looked up and saw who it was and she's like, oh, how have you been? And I was like, good. How have you been? She's like, I'm all right. I'm just gonna get a drink. I'm like, okay, bye. And I was like, how does she think she knows me? Because the only reason she would know me is from the video that I made where I like basically told her to go to hell in this video that everyone had watched. And I was like, does she know
she took that very well if that's how she knew.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, it's this one.
I'd never met her before. Like I knew like 3 or 4 of the people she was with, but I never met her. So I think she just didn't know me and she was just being nice, assuming that like I knew her and she knew me. Because you know when you start meeting so many people, and I do the same thing. When you've just met so many people, you can't always remember who you've met and who you haven't.
Remember the face, not the name. Yeah.
And when someone says hi to you and they look like they know you, you have to kind of assume you've met them before. Because if you say nice to meet you, you hurt their feelings.
Yeah. That must get pretty bad for you as well, considering the amount of followers you have. Like,
well, and it's happened to me where I'm on the other side of that. Like I've gone into a casting office that I've been into 3 or 4 times and they hadn't seen me in months. And then they bring me back in and they're like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And I'm like, you don't, like in my mind, I'm like, how do you not remember me? Like you've brought me in before.
Mm.
And I know better because I've also done casting. My husband and I did casting for horror films for a while. And after a while, you've seen people's pictures so many times that you don't know if you've met them or not. And you're just like, it's nice to meet you. But you really have to change that mindset as a content creator and be like, it's nice to see you again, or it's nice to see you. And assume that you may have seen them before, maybe you didn't, but try not to like call out. It's nice to meet you.
You know?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's so good to see you. Because that could be either or. Like you want to be careful not to like alienate any of your fans and make them feel like you don't remember them, because they remember meeting you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And it's the same way if you were to meet a big person, you'd be heartbroken if they didn't remember you.
yeah.
Mm.
I say it's pretty tough. We're friends with an actor, YouTuber, whatever, and he makes it his business to know his fans. Guy's 90,000 followers or 95,000 subscribers, and he makes it his business to talk to them. So he opens up like this. Do you know what StreamYard is?
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
It's like a streaming platform, and you can
yeah.
let fans in to talk to you. And he does that, so he makes his business to try and meet everyone, and while making good content too.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And some people have that skill. They're really good at remembering faces or remembering names. And then as you get older, it does get harder. Like people say, like,
when you see so many faces, like,
yeah, I mean, because 90,000 people is a lot of people. That's a lot of people. But like, if you've been doing that for 20 years, then it gets to be, it's very hard. It's very hard to remember everybody. And I'm guessing with Tana, like, she's got millions of fans. Like, she just assumed I was at a creator party. She probably met me before. She was just being nice. But my heart stopped when I saw her. And I was like, I just made that video. And I was like, oh, I wasn't really mad. But also, I think a lot of us understand, like, I wasn't mad at her. I didn't care. It was just YouTube. YouTube drama gets views. Yes. And we all know it. One of the things I was talking about, I think before we started recording, was that with TikTok, when people duet my TikToks and other people will message me or call me and say, oh my gosh, someone's making fun of you in a TikTok. And I'm like, are they though? Or are they just trying to get clout and views?
Yeah.
Like, are they really mad at me or don't like me? Probably not. Yeah. It's probably not personal. It's probably just them trying to get views. And I think a lot of us know that, and we're not super like hurt by anything unless someone directly attacks us, like, outside of social media. I've never really had.
Do you get them pretty often?
I haven't gotten a lot of hate.
I'm not assuming you do it. I'm just saying, like, with the size of your platform, at some point you must get something.
So on TikTok, not really. Occasionally I get people who say, like, I can do that too, which isn't really hate. That's just them being excited they can do it too. I have people who but when you look at it from like a talent perspective, you're like, certain things people say actually can trigger a person more than like I hate you. Like, I hate you, shut up, doesn't hurt me. If someone comes on and says you're not good at what you do, that's more hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody were to come on and say that would be a little bit harder for me to take. The only time I ever got hate so bad that like it affected me was I did a parody video with my friend Hannah Fossier, and we planned it together, and I shot it, and she like helped me. She sent the sound over to me and everything, and I did a parody of her when her hair fell out. It didn't fall out, she burnt it off with chemicals, but she like bleached her hair, and then she did some like straightener thing or whatever, and her hair like burnt and it like broke off, and she had to shave her head. She did a YouTube video, like, reveal of what happened, telling the story time, and then like crying and revealing her.
And you made a parody of that?
I did a parody of it with my dummy Darlene as Hannah, and Hannah was fine with it. She actually knew it was her idea. Like, ultimately we were talking, she was joking, I was like, I don't care, I'll do a parody or something to like whatever, and she was like, oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious, you should do it. And then I was like, okay, fine. So I did it, but we didn't think it would be good to say Hannah wanted me to do this, because that's weird, so we just kind of like, I just did it. I didn't say anything, and it blew up over Christmas while I was home visiting my family, and I didn't know how to turn off notifications on my phone. This was before I think I'd hit 10K even. Like, I didn't know how to turn off notifications on my phone, and so the entire Christmas break, every time I looked down at my phone, there was just all these notifications of comments saying, I hope you get cancer and die, kill yourself. I hope you die. You should die. This girl has cancer and you're making fun of her. And I'm like, first of all, Hannah doesn't have cancer. Where do you guys get that? They all, for some reason in their mind, thought she had cancer, and I was making fun of a cancer survivor, which is totally not what happened.
Yeah.
She made a stupid mistake with hair chemicals and like made a silly video, and I parodied it. But it was so painful because all of these people thought I was doing harm to my friend and that I was meaning her ill will, and I didn't. And I love her. She's one of my, like, I love her. And I was just like, I would never hurt her.
I suppose
And
that's a problem with having
that
like
was hard.
separate platforms. Like, people are going to be fans of you and maybe not fans of her, or vice versa. Like, if I'm giving abuse to Thomas and I'm telling him he's all kinds of things, everyone sees it here. But with you guys, it's kind of like, oh, it looks like this channel is throwing shade on this one or something. Yeah. That's unfortunate though, especially because like you're friends with them.
And also, people are so brave sitting behind a phone and a laptop, telling you to kill yourself. Like, it's so.
That's pretty rough.
They're so. I've always said it. Like, they would not say a thing if their name and address and phone number had to be included in their bio. Like,
yeah.
Now, Thomas has been pretty lucky that all of the abuse he's gotten on the channel has been towards me. I've been told I was pushing a religious agenda once. We're talking to a guy who used to be a Mormon, and he said that all religion sucked. And I said, "Are you sure? Because you just came from an extreme." So that was me pushing that.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I get the abuse here. Everyone just gives him compliments, tell him how good he's looking every day.
It's true. I can't help it.
It's just people seem to love Thomas.
It's just the burden I carry with myself all the time. I'm too good looking, too popular, too handsome.
Oh,
it's always
such
been
a burden.
Oh, you have no idea. No, I'm messing.
Yeah. What can you say? But yeah, besides being a TikToker and a YouTuber, you're an actress, and you've done a lot of work as an actress. And I nobody asks actors how they got into it, or if they fell into it. So, what's your story?
So I'm from Indiana, and I moved to Los Angeles to study abroad. I studied abroad in London first, and I liked London, but it was the theater scene, and I don't necessarily find myself drawn to doing theater. And so then I did study abroad in LA, and while I was here, I decided to try background work.
Like being an extra.
Like to be an extra, yeah. So I went to, I think, Central Casting or someplace, and I signed up to do background work. I never done extra work before, and I got put on Freaky Friday, the remake. I don't know which remake version it is by now, but it was Freaky Friday, and there's this big scene where she's getting out of the car, and there's all the kids sitting in front of the schoolyard, and I'm in that scene. And I got they grouped us together in groups of kind of who we looked like we belonged with. So like the nerds together and the cool kids, they like took all the background, and we're like sitting around, and I'm sitting with this guy who was a juggler and like had a bunch of snakes at home. And I think we were maybe the goth kids. I think they had me come in as like goth, because I used to play goth all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm there, and I meet this group, and we were talking all day, and they said, we're going to go to an open call tomorrow. Would you like to go? And I was like, for what? And they're like, background in this movie. It's Untitled, John Hamburg project. And I was like, all right, cool. How do I do it? They're like, just come over tonight, stay at, at his house, the juggler. We're all going to stay there tonight and crash at his apartment. And then we're going to carpool over together in the morning, because I guess nobody had cars. I was like, all right. So I took my truck, because I'm from Indiana, and I drove out to California. And I'm like still in college. So I was like, okay. So I stayed the night at some stranger's house with some friends that I just met on set. We all go to this open call. It was horrible. We're waiting in a line wrapped around the building. There's like a fist fight. It happens in front of us. And this casting director comes out, calls the police. It was awful. So I was nice to her. I made a joke to her, like, not to kill anybody, have a good day, and left my headshot. And she calls me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be background. She calls me and asks me if I want to audition for a speaking role or singing role.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And I told her this whole story about how I love Jesus Christ Superstar, and I wanted to be in it. And that was what I was singing for, was Jesus Christ Superstar. And I skipped gym class to go to the audition. And I read or sang for John Hamburg, the director, directly with a couple other people. And I got cast as Mary Magdalene in this play within the movie Along Came Polly, with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Ben Stiller. And it was incredible. And I got my Taft-Hartley on my first audition that I got on my day after I started doing background work. And it was just awesome. And I was like, well, this is so easy. Everybody says LA is so hard, but I just showed up and I got an audition. from an open call, and I got Taft-Hartley. Like, I'm gonna stay in LA. So I moved to LA, and I didn't work for years. I did temp work and background work, and I eventually said, I have to focus on like trying to work as an actor, because you get distracted trying to just pay your rent. And doing background work is great to learn like how it is to be on set, but it's really not a great way to become an actor. Like, you're not going to become an actor by being an extra. Like, you're just going to be an extra, and you can be an extra your whole life. And I have met people who'd been doing it for like 20 years, and I was like, I don't want that.
I've met them too. And
yeah,
you
so I
wonder,
was like, okay, like, it's good food and it's easy. So
the food's great. Food on set is the best
Sure.
food in the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And
So
I don't know why.
I don't know. I did temp work for a while and worked in real estate, and then I realized I wasn't doing what I came out to LA to do. I was just trying to pay the rent. So I said I quit, and I quit my job, and I started working as a dancing monkey at Universal, and got signed with an agency, and then started booking work like Maid of Honor and American Pie. I think I booked the same like week.
Oh, that's
And
very cool.
once you put your mind to it, like, you just have to put your mind to it, and you have to be dedicated, and you have to show up. And a lot of actors don't show up. It's weird, because I worked at an agency for a while too, and like, I would call people and they were like, yeah, I'll be there, and then I get a call from casting and they're like, this person never showed up. And I'd call them like, oh, I got stuck at work. And I'm like, okay, well, is McDonald's more important, or is acting more important?
Yeah.
And when you decide that, to make that decision, then you have to kind of stick with it. And that's how you get to continue to get work. I think that's why there's so many unsuccessful actors. Partly, it's hard, and it takes talent and luck and being in the right place and connections, and there's a lot of things. The business side of it's very hard. But also, a lot of people think it's going to be easy, and then they get out here and it's expensive, and they get stuck in their day job, and they think their day job is more important than going to that audition, and they forget why they're here.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Yeah, it's a rough old business. We talked to a lot of actors, and advice that we've been given before is, that to have that side job until you can afford to get rid of it. So like, but I understand your perspective. Like, don't be saying I can do this, I'll show up, and then not do it, because you're wasting everyone's time, including your own.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and once you've
show up
burned
to the
that
ones you can.
bridge, if you say you're going to be somewhere and you're not there, you've burned that bridge. They're not bringing you back.
Oh yeah.
And you're burning that bridge for everybody, because then it makes your agent look bad, and then everybody's kind of mad and frustrated at each other, and it just makes for bad situations.
Yeah, and that's not what you want in entertainment.
No.
Unless it's YouTube drama, you got to profit off that. they would, like, even we're guilty of it, and we're pretty small. Like we seen we do a podcast on YouTube. Joe Rogan does that too. People said that or Spotify employees wanted to cancel him, so we made a video about it, and just to see if we could get anything from that. Yeah. No, it's hard to avoid. If you know you're gonna do well off it, it's kind of hard, but you have to avoid it.
Joe is very controversial.
We've learned our
Very
lesson.
controversial. You're correct. Yeah.
I feel like he gets a bad rep, but some stuff is controversial.
Mm.
If you talk for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours
Every day.
Multiple times a week until you get to 1,500 episodes, you can find some dodgy shit in there. You can find some terrible stuff. It's kind of like if you recorded every conversation you ever had with people, you'd say some incriminating stuff. No one's as perfect as they want to believe. But
sure, isn't everyone controversial these days? It's like
most things are. But like, it's what was acceptable 10 years ago, not being acceptable now.
Mm.
That kind of gets people in trouble these days. Like, no one's actively out there saying, controversial things because they truly believe in them, unless unfortunately they do. But what can you do?
I think the younger creators have it a little bit easier because for that sense is because their controversy is different than older creators. Older creators get into like dark, bad controversy of racism, sexism, stuff like that, homophobia, where the younger creators tend to not do that as much. Their controversy is just like, I stole somebody's boyfriend. I mean, I kissed him, and
they
you're
do
like,
it for video.
oh, super. Super crazy controversy.
Yeah. One thing that scares me with the adult side of it, like you're saying, if I said someone is a racist, a homophobe, blah 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 blah, how do you prove you're not? Like, it used to be the thing of I have a black friend. That doesn't really fly. That doesn't really fly at all.
That doesn't fly.
But like, how do you prove you're not? Like, it's pretty. Good luck to you. I feel bad for people who aren't, and then they get called out for it, and blah blah. Yeah, that's a rough old one. But on a brighter side, you moved on from being an extra and then became an actor.
I did.
And
I did. So I booked my role in Along Came Polly, and that was great. I got to work with Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's incredible. In past, I was devastated. I did Maid of Honor with Patrick Dempsey and Michelle Monaghan, two of the sweetest people I've ever worked with. American Pie was a blast. I was one of the only people that they brought over from the United States. I think I was the only female and one of like 4 or 5 people that they cast from the US, and we got to go over to Toronto and work for months, and that was awesome. And just incredible producer and director. It was great. I mean, I've worked on TV, like iCarly was really fun. I've made some really good friends through jobs that I've worked on, even in small roles like Wizards of Waverly Place. I basically got cut out of that show. Yeah, it's a good show. But I got to work with Bill Cott, who I love and adore, and we've become friends. But, you know, we worked together first there. And you wouldn't know I was on the show unless you happened to know that I was on the show. Like, you wouldn't recognize me because they edited around everything that was in our scenes pretty much. Yeah. They even cut out a lot of the guest star that was in that scene. So
that's rough when
but
you're
it's
there
fun.
And you're working pretty hard, and then they just kind of cut you out. Because we've had people have decent sized roles and then just be cut out of movies.
I try not to tell anybody to like watch something that I'm going to be in until I've seen it. Because especially nowadays, it's easy because most stuff is on like your own time. Like, you can watch it when you want to watch it. So it's not like you have to say like, it's only going to be on CBS at 6 o'clock. Like, it's going to stream. So I'll watch something first and then announce like, hey, everybody, I'm in this. Yeah. Because with Wizards, I was pretty hurt when I was like, hey, everybody watch this. And then I was like, not in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, but I was in it. I swear. I was there.
That's rough.
But yeah, I mean, especially with commercials too. Like, if you happen to see yourself in a commercial, it's cool. You can tell people, but you never know. Like, they re-edit those so many times. I spent, I think, 2 days working on a commercial, and then it was a Super Bowl spot. Twice, actually, this happened. I worked on 2 Super Bowl spots. They completely cut my spot. Not even just me. They cut the entire spot. They were like, yeah, we changed our mind and went a different way.
That's a shame. Super Bowl ads are big deals. They're
yeah.
How much do they cost for like a second of screen time? It's ridiculous, right?
It's a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
But one of them I did, we were too edgy. The spot was too edgy. They changed their mind and went with a different version of the spot. It was like a car commercial or one of those car apps or something. But the spot they went with was like, I think she gave brownies to the guy selling the car. Either his head shrunk or he had to go to the bathroom. I don't know, something like that. But the one we were doing, we were making out. We were the makeout couple. And I was like licking Aaron's face, and like, just like, we were like basically just licking each other. And like, we were 2 super nerdy, like, people making out hardcore, trying to distract the car dealer. And they were like, yeah, it ended up being too edgy and weird.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, we could have told you that was going to happen. But I had such like, my face was all tore up because we started at the beginning of the day and he was clean shaven, but you start to grow stubble throughout the day, I guess. As men, I don't have that, so I don't know. But throughout the day,
most
like,
of my life, I haven't had that.
Okay, well, so he was clean shaven, so it was smooth at the beginning of the day, but by like rubbing my face against his all day, by the end of the day, I had like marks, like red, like rashes on my face from like his stubble growing in. And I was just like, it was such a weird spot. It was one of the weirdest things I ever had to do. And I almost auditioned in the room with TJ Miller. Oh. But I was like one person away from being partnered with him. So that would have been weird. Because we had to do it in the audition. So I would have had to lick him. That would have been so weird.
A little bit, yeah. That would, yeah. And with, yeah, okay, yeah. Anyway, I gotta go. That's a great note to end on. Christine, you've been great. Thank you so much for getting on.
Yes, thanks so much, Christina.
Thank you.
You've been
If
awesome.
people want to follow you and check you out, where can they find you?
You can find me on TikTok and YouTube, Twitter, all the places as Christine Barger, or on Instagram, Christine Barger Official.
Perfect.
You know where to find her. Are you on Cameo as well?
I am on Cameo. I'm on all the places. I'm on Cameo. I'm on Likey. I'm on Zen. I'm all the places.
Everywhere.
Awesome.
You can find her everywhere, lads.
You can find me everywhere. Just search my name. You will find me. And if you want to follow my cats, they are also on TikTok and Instagram.
Oh,
and they're Bagheera fun. And they're adorable because I'm a cat mom.
I respect it. I respect it.
Awesome.
So, thanks everyone for watching.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed and have a great day.
Good luck, cheers.